The problem of Nigeria is not a national anthem. The problem of Nigeria is hunger. People are hungry. Nigerians are houseless. Our children are out of school.
Providing food in the table of every Nigerian is not done by the snap of a finger. It is a procedural activity.
A bag of rice was 8,000 by Goodluck Jonathan's era. And Buhari came and busted it to 18,000. And Asiwaju came in 6 months. He made it 100,000. Bread that we eat, that all Nigerians can eat peacefully because we have democracy.
If we look at the idea of democracy, it's about freedom, human right, the fundamental human right, freedom to express yourself, freedom to interact with whoever you want to interact with, freedom of religion and whatnot. If you compare this to what was achievable, what was obtainable during the military era, my line of duty has exposed me to those who fought against the military, the pro-Nadeco people and the rest. And if they narrate to you their ordeal, how they have to hide, for the fact that we could have this conversation tells us that the democracy itself is not a facade. Prior to this, during the military era, you can hardly have a conversation to talk about the government. You can hardly have a conversation, talk about government action and the rest. People were running here and there trying to hide, to print pamphlets, ordinary pamphlets, to distribute to people to go against what the government policy or government actions were at that time. So today, because we are having this conversation, a lot of media houses are out there printing whatnot, negativity about the government, whatever the government is doing wrong, or whatever policy the government is erring in implementing. The media houses are there trying to tell us that, look, we could do it better, or this way will give us a better result than what the government is currently doing, has shown that we've grown from where we were to a new point. We are not saying we have the best form of democracy, yes, yet. You understand? A lot can still be done. We can develop on this style of democracy we are having at the moment. But for now, we have really developed from where we were to this point where we could actually express ourselves, go against whatever policy the government is bringing up. Today we have the labor on strike. These things were not, or they were unheard of during the military era. Is it the Abacha era that you want to go on strike? Nobody goes on strike during the Abacha era. The military would have been up and down, cracking people, picking them up and throwing them in jail. So we've developed, we've come a long way, but there's still quite a long way for us to go to.
If you look at the democracy of Nigeria, it's a child's play to what's happening in other smaller countries across the world. 25 years of democracy in Nigeria is a shame to the influence of democracy itself, because you don't expect to start from where democracy was built. You cannot compare the United States of America and Nigeria as two countries who should follow the sway of true democracy that comes with the respect for the rule of law and credible leadership. So definitely, I would say our 25 years of following the activities of democracy in Nigeria is a total waste of time, because we have confirmed that the same people who are in the military are the same people who have kidnapped the democracy of Nigeria and decide to run it with their own character. So practically, in this same government of Ahmed Bola Tinubu, that is, for example, a democratic government, has no influence of democracy. One, we saw the criminality in our elections and in our politics and in all political parties. That same thing we see during the Abacha regime. You and I know who Shonwere Omoyele was. You and I know who Nnamdi Kanu is. And these same people in government in the past, in the military era, are the same boys recruited themselves as civilians, retired generals, running the activity of our democracy. And at the same time, you can confirm that the Nigerian people are playing the same picture that they played in the same time that we had these same military people in power. For example, if you look at statements and utterances made by people like Wole Soyinka, who fought democracy, who fought for democracy during the military era. will be making statements derivative to the killing of the democracy we think we have today. Look at Ahmed Bola Asiwaju, the president, the self-acclaimed president of Nigeria, providing the influence of presenting himself as president-elect under the criminality of a forged certificate, and of course, of the indictment of himself as someone who has an influence in drug in the United States of America. Are these the kind of elements you think can grow democracy in Nigeria? Let's be straightforward and let's look forward to a democracy that deals with integrity, credibility, good governance, quality leadership, and of course, the respect for the rule of law. Sometime in this country, in this same democracy that you say you have seen the NBC going against its code to ask for penalty payments from media organizations for putting information that the people need on the screen. Is that the democracy we're talking about? Nigeria is not in a democracy. Nigeria is in a leadership style that influences criminality in democracy.
You know, to call a legitimately elected leader a criminal actually goes against the rule of law itself. The election and all the processes of election are a creation of the law. The election took place, pre-election activities, post-election activities, we were all in court, and the court affirmed the victory of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. To sit here and call the legitimacy or to question the legitimacy of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should actually give you that joy to celebrate democracy in Nigeria. Even if the law has affirmed all the allegations you made were all struck out by the law because you couldn't prove in any way that there was any certificate forgery in court. You went till Supreme Court and everything was thrown out of the window.
Let me ask you a question. Let me not jump into what you're saying, but I want to take your mind back to the influence of a court being controlled by someone who has a case in that court. Can you judge yourself? Nigeria is running a constitution that has a K-leg, where the president is installed by hook or by crook because of a discovery of an announcement of an illegitimate election. That same president became president, and that same president, by the constitution of Nigeria, has influence over the court. And you are saying that president has legitimacy?
Over time, right from inception of democracy in Nigeria, we've been having leaders who are not prepared to lead. We must be deliberate. Leaders who want to lead this country must be deliberate. They must prepare themselves through the rank. But we've had accidental leaders. Obasanjo in 1999, from prison to president, over a negotiation and other things, election took place and he was declared winner. And then Yaradua, who was not really ready and was not prepared to be president, but was thrust onto us. And then we have fate happens and Jonathan came on board. And then we had the Buhari for the last 8 years. And now we are having President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Of all those leaders, the only person that has distinguished himself and has actually prepared himself for this role as a president is the current leader we are having at the moment. From the business world to all his political activities since 1992 till date, he has been preparing himself, being the governor of Lagos State for 8 years, all till this day that he is the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So we've been having leaders who were not really ready for this position. One way or another, Providence pushed them to us and they became the leaders of our country. Trial and error method has been going on for too long in this country. Now let's shift to the citizen aspect. There are over 250 million of us conservatively in this country. Now, this 250 million, how many of us are ready and willing to do what is right to make the system work? How many? The people who collect bribe on the roadside may be government workers, but they are individuals like you and I who made that decision to take this bribe. Our value system have been eroded and corrupted over time. It's all about who makes the bigger money or the larger money. Now, if we bring it down to the system of governance we are practicing, the democracy we imported hook, line, and sinker, while other countries are trying to rejig this democracy to suit their culture, to suit their citizens, we just picked up a democracy from a foreign land and we adopted it hook, line, and sinker. And this democracy have been so bogus, so big for us to even maintain. There have been too many issues. I think quite recently there have been the issue of, do we actually need a bicameral legislative house to make laws for us? Do we need the Senate? Do we need the House of Representatives? This makes our democracy too expensive to maintain. So the problem is not only leadership, but leadership play a bigger role in the problem we are facing today in Nigeria.
Well, for me, I would like to say that the issues of democracy in Nigeria has a one-way cord. I'll say one-way cord because it has the influence of the leadership perspective. For me, the citizens have done exactly 100% because if you look at the 2023 general elections, Nigerians came out and they participated in the electioneering process excellently and they were denied their rights. That is the duty of any citizen in a democracy. And that was denied by who? The leadership of that same democracy. Now we're talking about people who are qualified to be used as square pegs in square holes. But we have seen leaders in Nigeria who don't have the capacity to even lead their family, their wife and their children. They can't lead them. They make them governors, senators, presidents. In Nigeria, we have seen the likes of President Muhammadu Buhari, who ruled Nigeria for 8 years and announced dead people as ministers. In this same country called democracy, we have also seen Ahmed Bola Tinubu, who inherited a comatose administration and put it in a coffin in 6 months. In this same country, a bag of rice was 8,000 by Goodluck Jonathan's era. And Buhari came and boosted it to 18,000. And Asiwaju came in 6 months. He made it 100,000. Bread that we eat, that all Nigerians can eat peacefully because we have democracy, was sold for 700 naira before Asiwaju came. In 3 months of Asiwaju's administration, it became 1,600. That is the least amount you can use in buying bread. And you are telling us that this fault should be seen as a citizenry thing? The citizens, for me, were groomed in the era of corruption. So definitely, what do you breed in such era? It should be corruption. Any corrupt Nigerian you see on the street was battered with the influence of bad leadership. Because you, as a father in your house, will always be held responsible on issues of catastrophe. If something happened in my house now, nobody's going to hold my daughter or my wife or my son. They're going to hold me responsible because I'm the leader of my family. So practically, we must start holding the leaders in Nigeria responsible for bad leadership. Whether you like it or not, as a student of democracy, it is clear that the leadership cadre in Nigeria is sick and must be given the right medication to get well. They have a sickness of stealing, but some people call it corruption. Corruption is in every aspect of life. If you have a girlfriend and you kiss her too much, that is corruption. If you have a car and you drive it too much, it is corruption. So we have academics corruption where they do malpractices. We are talking about people who steal money from government, who put hands straight directly into the treasury of the country and steal money, and you call it corruption? Where are the bank managers that help them transfer this money? Who is arresting them? If you now get away from the ruling party to the opposition party, your name will now be first on the list of people who are going to be tried by the EFCC, who has a toothless mouth to bite, a toothless dog. So all we're saying is that the citizenry in Nigeria has played or have played
the best percentage any individual as a citizen should play. And we have seen the machinery of democratic institutions in Nigeria that have been broken to pieces. How can a legless National Assembly that has the influence of rubber stamp make any law that has to do with development? For example, the issues of kicking back to an alien national anthem that was written and presented to us by citizens of another country. Come on, that's not the easiest aspect for a president who understands democracy to do. The problem of Nigeria is not a national anthem. The problem of Nigeria is hunger. People are hungry. Nigerians are houseless. Our children are out of school. That are the issues. Are you talking about a government who says they understand democracy? They start a business a contract that worth 100 billion naira, and they did that contract till 80 billion and stop it and tell you they don't want to do it again because it's a coastal line? Why did you not do a coastal checkup on the lane where you want to build the road from Lagos to Calabar before you give the contract? That is stealing by crook. Because one, if you give a contract, there is a consultancy fee that should be paid. Two, if you revoke the contract, there's another consultancy that will pay. Go and check the coastal line of that contract. How many houses and businesses were destroyed? Up till today, as I'm telling you, they have not found a way to settle those people because the federal government owns the land. So all we are saying, allow the citizens of Nigeria play their role. They have done perfect. I want to use this opportunity to salute all Nigerians who came out in the 2023 presidential election and every other elections to vote their choice, because that is your duty and you played it. But unfortunately, the people who have kidnapped power said your duty is not bound.
I think we're both speaking from the same perspective, but looking at it differently.
No.
Can I have the floor, please?
No.
Can I have the floor, please?
As
much as I wouldn't want to blame. Can I excuse me? Can I have the floor, please? Can I have the floor, please?
The citizens
Can I have the floor, please?
have their role.
Can I have the floor, please?
50-50. Me, I'm telling you that the citizens have.
Can I have the floor, please?
And the leadership has failed.
Can I have the floor,
Please
please?
do.
Thank you. The citizens you claim to have played their role,
Yes.
that came out to vote at the 2023 election,
Yes.
voted President Bola Ahmed Tinubu overwhelmingly.
No.
The elections result are there to prove this.
No.
If you have any problem with the result that is out there, you've gone to court,
Who
you've
has
gone
the
to
court?
appeal,
Who
you've gone
controls
to
the court?
Supreme. If you didn't believe in the process, you shouldn't have even participated in the election in the first place,
As citizens,
because there
we
is
have
no
the right.
point. No.
As citizens, it's our right to contest.
If you disagree or you believe that this system is bastardized and you are not going to agree with the result the system will give you, I think it is stupidity to accept to participate in the process. I agree with him in total that our problem is not the national anthem. Our problem is providing food or putting food on the table of every Nigerian.
Has this government done that?
Providing food in the table of every Nigerian is not done by the snap of a finger. It is a procedural activity.
When
It
Nigerians
takes
not eating
process.
before this government
It
came,
takes
so they should
process.
stop eating.
And it took process for us to get to where we were before this government took over.
And
we
took
shouldn't
us
expect.
back
We shouldn't
100 years.
expect. Excuse me, please. We shouldn't expect that at the snap of a finger,
Yes.
everything will be made aright.
Do you know why-
Governance? Can I speak, please?
Maybe
When
Rams.
you were speaking, I allowed you
All
to
right.
lay home your
My
points.
apologies.
This government, according to him, inherited a comatose system, a system in coma already. To resuscitate this system will take quite a lot. For once, the president has never shied away from his responsibility. He has said it repeatedly that we are aware of what is happening in the country. Give us time and trust us. We will make this process right. We will make this system right. Every Nigerian will have food on his table. This is the assurance the president is given. Come to think of it, this president has not even fulfilled a one-year budget cycle at all. The 2024 budget has not even been implemented. Implementation has not even commenced. If you want to start talking about the governance, the government, and the rest, on what? It's like sending a child to a school. The very day he stepped into the class, you just rated him. I know this one cannot do better than this. Let me just grade him at this point. No, I think that is not fair to the government itself. Allow the process, allow this government to do one budget cycle, and let's come back to have this conversation again. And then you will tell me, yes, there have been improvement here and there and there. And of course, there are some policies that you yourself and your presidential candidate has actually applauded. The presidential candidate of Labour Party has applauded one, the subsidy removal. The very first day the president removed the subsidy, Peter Obi was the first to tweet to applaud President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for this. When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu signed into law the National Education Loan Fund, Peter Obi was still the first to go on Twitter to comment this. You understand? These are policies that will make life better for students, for you and I. He may not understand, probably he's from a privileged home. Those who are not from privileged home will understand how difficult it is for parents to pick up their money, their hard-earned resources to send their children to higher institutions today. These institutions are not getting cheaper by the day. They are getting more and more expensive as we speak today. Why? The private universities, the public universities are all very expensive. Why? Those from indigent homes cannot afford it anymore. Why? It's getting... Education is not cheap anywhere in the world. Let's tell ourselves that fact. It is not about leadership. In the UK, where you want to use as example, in the US, where you want to use as example, that have the oldest democracy in the world, their education, their students have to take loan with interest. Somebody must have graduated 30 years ago. He's still paying his student loan. But we are getting interest-free loan in this country. So the policy the president has been bringing on board has been top-notch, and we need to salute the president for those policies. We need to appreciate the policy. What we need to do as citizens is to be the checkers, to be people who watch this policy, to see that the president and the government is actually trying to implement this policy accordingly, and also to be watchdog to see that this policy does not derail from the actual plan that the government has actually asked us to do.
This same democracy we're celebrating today is being engineered by people like his principal, the president of Nigeria, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, who used 19 billion naira to buy a car for himself and his wife as president and first lady. And he took 9 billion naira to build a car park in the National Assembly. A car park for 9 billion naira. And he gave 1 billion naira to build hostels for 6 universities in Nigeria, and gave 2 billion naira for the loan for students he's talking about.
Point of correction. 10 billion. Do not mislead. Do not mislead the watchers. 10 billion.
A democracy that should be cut short when it comes to
it is 10 billion for student loan, actually. So I'm beginning to doubt the figures you've been calling, because the student loan, I'm quite aware of it.
If you listen to the body language of this administration, it is clear that this administration does not understand democracy and is a reckless group of people who think that to capture power is to do what they want to do. You cannot capture power and get confused. You inherited a comatose administration and helped us put it in a coffin. For just 6 months, you put the economy of Nigeria in a coffin. Before you came, how much was the dollar? Now the dollar is 1,500 naira. This is the first in the history of anybody who ruled Nigeria. Whether you like it or not, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, president of Nigeria, remains the worst person that's ever been president of Nigeria. And we are calling on Nigerians to celebrate 25 years of democracy with a good heart ahead of the 2027 general election, so that the best person can get on throne. The truth is that democracy is about politics, and politics is about power, and power is about development of the people and the state. What development for the people and on the nation have we seen since Ahmed Bola Tinubu inherited a comatose, coffin-nailed administration. We have not seen that. But I want to beg Nigerians not to relent. They should continue with the will of the duties of citizens so that Nigeria can be moved from this caricature element of being a country that wants to remain as an underdog to a country that will be on the move for the good of our democracy and our people at the same time. Me, I'm not particular about any political party. I'm particular about someone who has the capacity, the impetus to do it right. You will not tell us you remove subsidy and you are still paying from the back door. We have this, we have all the information. You will not just push away subsidy with your mouth and at the back door you are paying it. This is what's happening, and we have said no continually. I'm a student of democracy, and I understand that democracy is about the people and governance. So now, the major issue that the Asiwaju administration is suffering from is called non-support by the citizens of the country. Every element of leadership needs the support of the Nigerian people for it to work. For example, let me say Dr. Paul Enenche of the Dunamis International Gospel Center. He is not the one who does the miracle, but God uses him. And the people have faith that if Dr. Paul is in this service, I will be healed. That is trust, because they've seen him do it before. So practically, let's put it on the issue of our leaders, governors, senators. They need to build trust so that the Nigerian people can give the support needed for their policies to work. I'm not saying it's wrong for Asiwaju to click a student loan. Perfect policy. I'm not saying Asiwaju shouldn't remove a subsidy. Perfect policy. But the driving formula of this is too criminal because of the people in the control panel of the affairs of those policies. So what we need to do is not the party, it's not the individual, it's the catalytic movement of politics. Because you see, there's something called the politics of policies and the politics of politics. We have seen Asiwaju play the politics of politics in the elections and everything, but we have not seen Asiwaju play the politics of policies, because the politics of policy is what drives the economy to the next level. If the people support Asiwaju, they will love him. Even when the economy is biting, they will maintain and see where he's going. So Asiwaju must build that trust in the Nigerian people for his policies to work. Nigeria or Nigerians are the only people in this world that can manage. If you know what has caused war, civil war in Liberia or Burkina Faso, all those places that are war-torn areas in Africa, you will be surprised. Ordinary bread, if you change the price, ordinary rice, it has caused war in Sierra Leone, in Liberia, ordinary food item. But how many times have we seen those food items skyrocketing in 5 seconds? Did you see any Nigeria rampage? No. God has made us very strong people. So I advise this administration, if they want to help Nigeria,
Dr. Barry, can I come in?
They should help Nigeria by building trust so that this economy can go to the next level.
I can understand that people who have no political base, who jump from ABGA to PDP down to LP, who actually not know the value ingrained in a party, in a political party. Every party should have a policy guiding them. You understand? But when you jump, you keep jumping around just to cling onto power, you wouldn't really understand that, yes, you need to abide by the rules of this party that brought you to power. The change in leadership or political party, I will actually want to say that every party have its own, what do they call it, bylaw, constitution, or what's the name again? Manifesto guiding them. So that manifesto will clearly spell out what they need to achieve, will spell out their plans, their developmental plans, their monetary plans, their economic plans, and the rest, an infrastructural plan. But I think it goes beyond just a political party, about the policies or the ruling in the political parties. It has to do with the individuals aspiring to lead the country. What plan, what vision do those people have? At this point in our nation, we need not just visionary leaders. We need more than just leaders who see through the future. We need leaders that can walk us through this vision they are seeing. Do you understand? We need leaders that can walk us through this vision. It's not just about seeing it, but do you have the capacity to lead this nation to this vision you are seeing? It's so easy to sit and dream of a very beautiful country out there. In my 4 years, this will happen, that will happen, that will happen. Where is the pedigree? Have you done this before? What have you done to prove that you can do this bigger tax when we give you the role of the president of this country? So it goes beyond just leadership, political parties, yes, but political parties play a bigger role, because there is no way we can talk about democracy as it is today without the political parties. I think there's a UN study that described the multidimensional poverty in Nigeria to be the worst in the world. Yes. If you look at the history of this poverty we're talking about, most of these states that are ranked highest in the poverty index are mostly from the northern part of the country. The south have quite little of those states with higher index of multidimensional poverty rate. So the government so far, what they've been able to do, there have been a lot of programs coming up. There have been the social intervention program, which are over 2 million SMEs have been identified, and the government is giving palliative to help them cushion the effect of this fuel price increment. More so, I'll speak from the government point of view as the labor point of view. When the government increased the fuel price, the labor sat down and had a discussion with the government. The government came up with a wage award for workers of the federal government to pay 35,000 naira to cushion the effect of transportation and other effects that will come with this fuel price increments that came about as a result of the withdrawal of subsidy. This 35,000 naira state government trickled down to state and to local government. And then when we look at it critically too, the withdrawal of this subsidy has resulted into higher inflow of money, higher inflow of forex into the country. For the first time in our history, the government is sharing 1.8, 1.9 trillion as FAC, federal allocation, among the states, the federal government, and then the local government. This actually trickled down to state. For the first time, we could see in over 8 years, we could see governors commissioning projects within their first year. It is not a miracle. It is from the money that government ought to use to subsidize fuel price increment that they are using now to pay the state government. And that's why we are seeing OTI having so many projects going on in Enugu State. We have Bago having a lot of projects in Niger State here. And we have the federal government having quite a lot of projects going on here and there. And there are a lot of initiatives. The student loan scheme came about because we have these funds to push into our education. As soon as the budget starts rolling, we'll see a lot of the Pulaku initiative is there to be rolled out soon too, which will take care of these herders who go around herding their cattle here and there and fomenting trouble between herders and farmers. So all these are meant to cushion the effect of this fuel price increment and also reduce this friction, because the moment there is no food on the table, people get agitated, people want to start reacting. And the government wants to see that we don't have this reaction going on in the country.
He made statements talking about Niger State, a state that has no leadership, Niger State that is in comatose with insecurity, Niger State that houses Boko Haram and kidnappers. Is that the state you say there's a development? We have not seen that development. Show us pictures of it.
Have you been to Niger State of recent?
Of course.
No, you have not.
Are you telling us about the issues of the palliative, where they come to give people palliative, at the end of the day they carry dead bodies of Nigerians in stampede? Are you saying that this administration has what it takes to give palliative? Were you not in this country that the Minister of Humanitarian stole the money given to her? Come on.
Allegedly.
Let's wake up from our slumber. I never wanted to say anything about APC, but you see, I need to say it because you brought it up. APC
for me, it's a gang of people who don't understand why they need power. Because you see, like I said, power is for human development and state movement. We have not seen all this in the rendezvous of this politicking. It is in this same country we see the president's children flying with the private jet to parties and to... It is not done. It is not done. You being the child of the president, you have no right to party with Air Force One because it's not you who we voted for. Meanwhile, the position of the First Lady is not in the Constitution of Nigeria. So why do we need to allocate so much funds to that office? Why do we? For us, she's supposed to be a housewife, to cook for Mr. President, to clean him up, and to show him love from where he's coming from. Because anyone who ends up becoming president of Nigeria has entered one chance. And without a woman at home to take care of him, he will not survive. We saw it in President Muhammadu Buhari, who his wife escaped to Dubai and lived in Dubai for almost all the 8 years Buhari destroyed Nigeria. So all what we are trying to say is not to call names or to fight on the issue of politics or political party. The fact remains that in the lifespan of the APC, we have not seen any president produced by the APC that followed the manifesto of the APC. In Nigeria, immediately you finish election and you win as president, you become the leader of the party. Not even the national chairman has a word to say. So we have seen where Asiwaju took over the APC and decides what happens, which is not supposed to be so. And in all the political parties, it's not supposed to be so. And that man you called Olusegun Obasanjo, who you said was not prepared to take power, go and check the records of the development of Nigeria as president. He remains the best person who ever ruled Nigeria democratically. President Olusegun Akikiola Aremu Obasanjo. You can't compare him to the wickedness we have seen in this administration.
It's true that the office of the First Lady is not in the Constitution. But you cannot say that at best she should just be in the house as housewife taking care of the president. No, that is derogatory to over 50 or 60 million women in this country.
Never.
No, it is derogatory. There are too
minister.
many women. There are too many women, and she has so much to give to these women. They are initiative.
Can make her a
Can
minister.
I speak, please? Can I speak, please? There are quite a lot of initiative that she will bring on board that will help a lot of people, the women and the younger people, to develop themselves, either skill acquisition or other things. She don't need to be a minister to do that. Being the wife of the president gives her that leverage to attract funds from wherever she wants to attract funds from. And because she can attract funds, does that mean she should sit on the fund? No. She will develop a plan on how to use those funds to better the lot of a lot of Nigerians.
Show me
and
one
the issue of the issue of the first family, I don't know who particularly he was referring to. I am not the spokesperson of the family, so I don't even want to go there. No, none of the first family have any official role in governance, not in Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government, neither in President Muhammadu Buhari government. There is no office of the first son or the first daughter of the country.
Were you in this country
not
when we
there.
have somebody called Sabiu in the villa?
Is Sabiu a son of the president? No.
Your sister's son is what?
Let's get this. Let's get this clearly. Sabiu is the principal private assistant. Is the principal private secretary. No.
Now you cannot see the president.
Sabiu is the principal private secretary to President Muhammadu Buhari and not his son.
Have you gone
let's
to Twitter?
Let's go to
No,
other
have you gone
questions,
to
please.
the X?
Sabiu is not a child of President Muhammadu Buhari. So let's stop misleading millions of Nigerians, please.
Office of the first daughter of the president.
It is not there. It is not there.
It is there. We are
on Twitter. So Twitter should be your yardstick for judging what is happening in the country. No, you can do better, doctor. Doctor, you can do better. You can do better. It can be a parody account. It can be a parody account.
She told you who she is.
Look at the obedient group. What did they do in the election? They came out to sow their royal oaths. and meaning that they came out to maintain peace and order by changing governance. Were they given that opportunity? In Lagos, did you know how many youths were killed on the election day? Will you have your child out there to vote in 2027? No, because the government have not given the opportunity to do so. There's someone called MC Olomo, one tout in Lagos, who was backed up by the president of Nigeria to main people, making statements that the DSS do not even have the capacity to arrest him. Right now in Nigeria, as I'm telling you, nobody's afraid of the DSS, just like me. For me, they are just two-legged dogs. They can't do anything more than to just harass people up and down, because their job in the first place is not even to arrest people. So practically, if this government wants the youths of Nigeria to step up to their responsibility, they must provide the enabling playing ground. One, there's a bill called Not Too Young to Run. In that bill, did you say anything about funding? Say, if you are 2 years old, you are qualified to contest. But with what money will you contest with? With what money? Well, you know, in this country, that APC sold governorship fund for youth for 25 million instead of 50 million. So which youth has 25 million? Tell me, what kind of bill is that? They should be given the form free of charge so that we can see quality youths come out, because most of the people who have the capacity to lead as youths, they don't have the funding. So they use the funding as a barricade to stop us from contesting elections. Some of us want to be in the ruling party. Some of us want to remain in the opposition party. But those who want to be in the ruling party, do they have the funds to match up? No. So we are telling and we are asking this government to provide a better referee in the influence of the INEC elections for Nigeria. Maybe we need to borrow somebody from the United Nations that is not in Nigeria. Because sometimes in Africa, a country called the Gambia came to Nigeria to borrow Chief Justice. They borrowed Chief Justice from Nigeria for close to 30 years. The influence of the gates of Omar Agege came from that borrowing of justices from Nigeria to the Gambia. Omar Agege's father was loaned from the Supreme Court of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to the country called the Gambia. And today, what happened? Omar Agege was born in that country because the man married women there and gave birth. And today, we had him one time as Deputy Senate President. And their country is stabilized when it comes to democratic institutions like the judiciary. But in Nigeria, it's bastardized. So I am making a request, because what Nigerian youths need to do to come out, to play their role as youths, is when they have soft landing, like you and I have the opportunity to contest elections without giving us a barricade with funding. Then you see the youths will give the best. Nigeria has one of the best youths you can find anywhere in the world. At the same time, Nigeria has one of the worst youths you can see anywhere in the world, because they know that this administration is a kangaroo influence when it comes to democratic activities, they still support them. We are supposed to fight this government from some activities that will not yield positivity. But we are supporting them. So how do we not bring anything that will be good? Although I'm not saying
let me move us from the point of hopelessness to a point of hope here. The Nigerian youth have a lot to give to this country, particularly the younger generation coming up. Elections are evolving over time. So the younger generation, with technology coming into elections, have a lot to deliver. We are facing the 4th industrial revolution, and this younger generation are tech savvy. They have a lot. We saw what happened during the NSAS protest and how we could use the technology to mobilize quite a lot of people coming out. And we saw what we did in 2023 too with the obedient movement. I think they are the best learners of this 2023 election, because they've learned quite a lot of things. It was Yeah, I think
I'm clapping for
we
you.
can applaud them for that.
I'm clapping for you for the first time.
Yes, we can applaud them for that.
Nice
You see,
man.
yes, we can applaud them for that. They've learned a lot, and I think they've been the most formidable group coming so far into the 2023 election. The 2027 election is going to be won and lost by those who refuse to adapt to technology. So this is where the younger generation becomes very, very important. My father can no longer use the computer the way I can. And I believe my child will use computer better than the way I can. So this next generation coming up will do a lot to prepare themselves before 2027. It goes beyond just money. It is not just about the funds and the resources. It is about the will, and prepare yourself to lead in this country. We must start telling this younger generation that, look, you must pick the pig out of the gutter, wash the pig, and then move on with it. We can't tell them that the politics is all about money, is too dirty, they cannot participate. No, the younger generation have a lot to lose when this country collapses. So they should not allow it to collapse. 2027, they should be all out campaigning or seeking to lead in elective positions to push this country from where we are to greater height. Thank you.